So let me come out wide here. Just to the right of the freeway, the next signal that you see. Okay. They're gonna. He's being lit up right now. He's gonna intimidating the officers here. And he's off again. Toying with the officers here. They're off of on Western. They're saying
Botox prevents headaches.
Hey, Elizabeth, do you know if we're gonna stream it? Bye, Tyler. Oh, look at this, weaving back and forth in that lane, flashing these high beam lights at drivers that are in front of him. Once again, with the high beams, they're flashing. In and out.
Broadway. For your patience.
Cops.
Thank you, Jim. What's that?
Oh, oh.
Driving erratically, now the wrong way. Just trying to figure out who's going to pick this up now, because the Glendale Air Unit is very sneaky about what they try to do now, swerving back and forth, trying to avoid oncoming traffic. CHP is aware of where this is, but they're trying to get LAPD notified as well. This is a pursuit out of Glendale, apparently for street racing, and this vehicle has a penchant for doing donuts at intersections. We've seen this behavior multiple times. Ten-4. This is Main and Alameda, again doing donuts in the intersection. Thank you for joining us on the NBC4 streaming platforms. Gabe Santos here with pilot Jim Pollard. We're following what was a Glendale pursuit and will hopefully become a CHP or LAPD pursuit, waiting on word on who will actually be the one to pick this up. Multiple agencies are interested in picking this up. Glendale doesn't want to keep on it if it gets out of their airspace. But once again, CHP isn't interested once they get units in the area, and we're waiting on word on LAPD. But just from this erratic driving, going back and forth, multiple times in the wrong way, and then this behavior of doing donuts not even very good donuts, in intersections. Was doing this in the Glendale area, and now doing this in the East LA area. Now stopping in the middle of a crosswalk. It's going to be Alameda and Cesar Chavez cutting off a bus there.
You've mostly
On and still kind of hanging out in this intersection. Doing more donuts. Another one here. Probably about the third or fourth time we've seen this at this intersection. And now continuing down Cesar Chavez. Going behind a building here. We're going to maneuver News Chopper 4 to get around it here for you. It's right off the nose, down low. You see the pink building? Okay, I think he turned around and he's continuing back the other way through this intersection. Not through the intersection, doing donuts again. And we have a number of agencies trying to coordinate the response to this and how they want to handle it. I'm trying to figure out what the plan is as far as what agency is going to pick it up and what frequency they're going to use. More donuts here along Alameda. Through the intersection, there's a pedestrian right there, and this guy's just out for a joyride. Pardon me while we're trying to gather some information on who's actually going to pick this up. There's the Glendale PD air unit still overhead here calling out the locations. Now we're doing donuts at the intersection of Spring and Cesar Chavez, and now back down Cesar Chavez. I've heard nothing in terms of LAPD's involvement in this. We're going to try and figure that out.
In Sky 9. What a mini spectacle here, Desmond.
Yeah, no kidding.
Pat and Juan, this is really unbelievable. All the pursuits we've covered, I've never seen anything like this. This is by far the most brazen driver I have ever seen. It started in Glendale, and it started with reports of this person doing donuts around a Glendale PD officer. So, of course, they didn't take too kindly to that. They got into pursuit, but this person was driving like such a lunatic that they called it off. They went into tracking mode. There's no officers behind at the moment. They're just monitoring it from the air with Glendale's Police 100 helicopter. But this person is all over the place. Wrong side of the road, doing donuts, stopping in the middle of the intersection in red lights. Seems like just taunting people. It's very bizarre, and it sounds like from all the chatter we've heard that none of the police agencies know what to do. No one's really that interested in getting involved in this. We're in LAPD's jurisdiction right now, but this originally started with Glendale. CHP wouldn't take it on, even though it was on the freeway. This person was going really fast on the 5 at one point, and it's just absolutely ridiculous what we're seeing, and the police are not doing anything to try to stop this.
You know, I'm trying to figure, okay, there it goes. Wrong side of, oh, this
Look
is
at that,
just,
it's crazy.
I don't even know how you describe this, Desmond. You're doing a fantastic job as always, by the way. You know, it just makes you wonder if would they possibly like block intersections to stop people for, you know, from coming through, like on Alameda Street? Do you see any activity like that?
I haven't seen anything like that or heard any possibility of the police of doing that. The way this person's driving, they're probably thinking that it's nothing that's going to stop this guy from going up on the sidewalk if they block the streets. Just been really, really crazy how this person is driving. I just can't emphasize how nuts this is. And now we're going underneath Union Station. Okay, just wanted to make sure we didn't lose him there. I had to go to a wide shot, but incredibly bizarre. This person's been doing so many turns. I'm kind of surprised they haven't made themselves dizzy with the way that they're driving.
And now they are stopped at a red light. Doesn't look like that's going to last long. Well, now they're making a right turn. And there are some pedestrians on the street. And, you know, while we're looking at this, and it looks like this person, I don't want to use the word skillful, Des and Juan, because I think that might be a little much. But at the same time, you know, you worry a little bit about people that are on the street. But so far, they've managed to stay basically on this main drive here or wherever he turns, where there's little traffic, thank goodness, and just seems to enjoy having the road to himself, so to speak.
Yeah, it seems like everybody else holds off Desmond when he gets to these intersections, unless he's watching for the green light, as we see here. If he would have kept going forward, he would have had a green light, but I mean, you don't see a lot of people around.
No, not too many people around. Fortunately, in the way of pedestrians, hasn't been in any of the really crowded pedestrian corridors. We're along Alameda, a little farther, we were anyway, and that was a little farther down would have been around the Arts District where you could have seen a lot of pedestrian traffic. Right now on Cesar Chavez, which will turn into Sunset Boulevard. Actually, never mind, he's heading eastbound, so it'll stay as Cesar Chavez. And you might have seen some of the flashing strobes coming. Look, there it is right there, right on cue. So this person is equipped with some sort of light kit as well. And, okay, thanks to our assignment desk, we just found out that CHP has their fixed-wing aircraft overhead as well. I believe that's a crew of 3, so now they're going to have several sets of eyeballs on this person. And what is, I don't know if they're thinking, it really just seems like they're taunting the police. I saw them with hands out the window, making a motion, waving at the helicopter. The police 100 was down pretty low with them, but just incredibly bizarre behavior. This is a Kia Stinger. I believe this is a Kia, and I believe it's a Kia Stinger, which is like the high performance Kia. And so this person is kind of just, I don't know, really flaunting this car right now all across LA.
And certainly in a neighborhood where there aren't many lights, well, he's going on the underpass. But did you notice for a moment there, it almost looked like they were in darkness, waiting for him to come out on the other side.
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
He's on the other side of that wall, Desmond.
Yeah. Right there.
See the flashing yellow?
Yeah, I see the. Okay, where is this person at right now? I'm just following the blinking
there it is.
light.
Yep.
So this
there
was,
you go.
I believe, a freeway entrance right here. Maybe getting onto the eastbound side of the 10. And, well, now that he's on the freeway, I think what my assignment desk was telling me is that maybe CHP will get engaged in this. It's just weird. We were listening to the chatter from the police helicopter, and it made it sound like that there was some kind of policy conflict that was preventing them from getting involved in this. But now you see the flashing lights on, and now
driving so slowly.
Being really ironic. Yeah, it's driving so slowly on the freeway when they were driving fast and doing donuts on surface streets. So kind of ironic now that we're on the freeway is only going maybe 25 miles an hour.
You know, something you had mentioned about how they were in pursuit and then they backed off. You know, when you think about it, what would they do unless they got close enough to do some kind of pit maneuver or actually throw down some spike strips, which I guess would be a possibility, either one of those, Desmond, but you just wonder if they'd try to do a pit if this guy then, you know, wouldn't automatically speed up. Now, is he
No,
exiting?
that is a good point. Yeah, it looks like we're getting off the freeway here at State Street, Soto Street, over by County USC Hospital. And, yeah, I mean, this person was driving pretty crazy when the cops were behind him earlier. When we were hearing them call out, it seemed like he made it from Burbank down towards Lincoln Heights in just a couple of minutes. So it must have been going 80, 90 miles an hour when the police were behind him. So, you know, as
And that
Back to it, or what's happening?
It looks like we are going to be re-entering the eastbound side of the 10 here. These are what they call the collector lanes on the far right-hand side that are
Right.
separated from the main line of the freeway. But here they're
ever driving.
approaching the 710 freeway as well. So coming out of LA towards East LA, Monterey Park, and the City Terrace area.
And if, just to say they would let this driver continue, they do have the license
Sure,
plate.
right.
Always a possibility they could pick it up on the other side or at any a moment when this person wouldn't know that they were following them from on the ground for sure. So that could be what officers or law enforcement is thinking at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. They do have those the license plate on that, and if this hasn't come back stolen or anything, then they could certainly try to come and knock on this person's door at a different time, or try to broadside them at home when it's safer for the public to do so. So we may see that as well. There was talk of CHP getting involved though, because we are on the freeway, but again, it just kind of sounds like all the agencies are loath to get involved in this because it's just a very weird situation.
Yeah, it's interesting how they're backing away from this, Desmond. While we watch your live camera there on the left-hand side, we're showing our viewers what happened earlier tonight, where you see this driver with his blinkers on, just basically doing large circles in intersections, crossing that double yellow line. Fortunately, Pat, there's been no accidents or nothing. Even he got close to those cars there, but no accidents or side swipes. But pretty just irresponsible driving.
Oh, very
Yeah.
irresponsible driving. And again, it's almost like Desmond said earlier, look, there's no rhyme and reason in
Right.
what this driver is doing. And he mentioned that he was possibly taunting officers, hanging out the window, pointing at the helicopter. Now he's getting off the freeway. Looks like Desmond, and again, driving, well, he was exiting very slowly there. He's picked up just a little bit more speed, but not a lot.
Yeah, still fairly subdued, certainly compared to what we were seeing earlier. Hopefully this person has accomplished whatever. Well, no, I say that, and
Doing
then
it
here we go
again.
back into the intersection and making another strange U-turn. So it just seems almost like they're daring police to come after them because they've had so much time at this point. You're driving a black sedan. You could blend in probably pretty easily or turn the lights off. And it would seem like if this person wanted to get away, they would have possibly had the opportunity to do that. And it just really seems like the idea is to taunt people and look at, intentionally annoying other drivers, getting right in their way. What's that person thinking about what this guy's doing? And this person back here, they're just trying to get on with their day, and this guy's doing donuts in the intersection in front of them.
Yeah, and it seems like, Desmond, we're getting late word here, too, that they're most likely going to be sending some ground units. At least that's what's coming from CHP dispatch coming into our newsroom right here. So things continue. Instead of, calming down, they just keep escalating, or they just, basically stay the same here, which is some very dangerous driving there on our city streets.
And let's talk about where
Yeah,
he's
and
gone.
it
Oh, go
sounds-
ahead, Desmond.
Oh, no, I was just going to say we had heard that CHP East LA was in the middle of a shift change, and when they're done
boy.
with that they may come and get involved. But then now this isn't on freeways again, so it might just kind of ping pong back between different agencies if they want to get involved. It kind of looked like he was losing control there for a second, or maybe just really testing this car again. This is to my knowledge, the high performance Kia model. I'm not sure if it's turbocharged, but I believe it's rear-wheel drive. And this isn't your run-of-the-mill economy car. If it is a Stinger, then it definitely has some power and is capable of some pretty aggressive handling. But go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, large caliber dual twin exhausts, in fact,
Okay.
Desmond. Just look that up. I was just wondering, again, I didn't want to lose my thought here, but just where they've been. We know that they picked this up in Glendale when he was at
Right.
the intersection, Western and San Fernando. Then he went to Lincoln Heights. And now he's in, East Los Angeles. So,
Got off the freeway, right? A few minutes
and it
ago.
doesn't look like he's trying to get back to Glendale. So, you know, sometimes we try to gauge these things in terms of where people are driving, where they're headed to next, or are they going back in the same area, possibly. But they don't necessarily see a pattern here, Desmond, but this is just so, well, he's going to do another donut. You think he's going to stop and possibly just give up or even get out of the car, but no, he stops to do another.
And here he goes again.
Yeah. It's almost like a circus act
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, here's a car that's approaching a couple of cars, so let's see what he's going to, probably going to keep going now. Yeah, not going to be, well, just,
As
whoa.
soon as
Oh,
he's
now he's
going west
zigzagging.
and turns back around and goes east, and now we're back westbound at high speeds now. I think we're up to like about 60 or so miles an hour at the moment, and then you see him intentionally jerking the wheel back and forth, kind of almost like testing the limits of this vehicle, and you wonder how skilled this driver is, and if they're going to, you know, lose control of this vehicle or you slam into a parked car, or, you know, God forbid, someone who's out there walking along. Now, we did just hear East LA. It sounds like CHP, they may have completed their shift change, and that there is a ground unit on the way to this, and they're going to get guided in here by Police 100. They're able, all the agencies are able to communicate with each other, and we'll see if CHP how they want to handle this.
I'm wondering what those other drivers are thinking when they see this car all of a sudden kind of pull over to the side and then just start going around in circles. Here he is, you know, again, most likely just trying to get
he's-
around that traffic, but he hits another intersection, Pat, and he just wants to do another big circle.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're trying to,
There he goes.
yeah. You think maybe they're going to make a right turn, which is perfectly legal, but no, he decides to do something else. Has his blinkers back on and going back in the other direction of City Terrace Drive. We've been following this for about 15, 20 minutes here.
Yeah.
And we've
Yeah, I got
same
some,
pattern.
yeah.
The pattern is this person is driving this Kia Stinger and is just constantly doing donuts in the middle of roads.
Wow.
Gets on the
Okay.
freeway, gets back off. Now it's getting a little dicey. I think that's the first time we've really seen some traffic or other vehicles get caught up
Was that from the police
in what
helicopter?
this person is doing.
Yeah, and his pattern has basically been the same, basically what you're seeing right now, which he makes it into an intersection, starts going around in circles, avoids cars, avoids the garbage cans there on the curb, and then crosses the double yellow line. And I mean, luckily, again, as we mentioned, so far, no injuries, no crashes or anything like that. But now, Pat, here we go, another narrow street, which
Yeah, and he's
curves
got
a
his
little
blinkers
bit,
on.
A little different here.
Well, East LA CHP en route to engage with this driver, and
Okay.
we'll see how that turns out. This is a dark street, a narrow street, as you said, residential neighborhood right here. Still has his blinkers on. In any other circumstance, we would think this person was getting ready to. Oh, there we go. He is
go.
engaged right now. That must be CHP. East LAC.
Oh,
Yeah, look at him just kind
Okay.
of wagging back and forth there. Really
Oh my
asking for it. But this is highway patrol. There was some, we just even heard some kind of conflicting information from the police helicopter overhead. It made it sound like that CHP was not going to get involved after all, but now we can see that they are indeed behind this vehicle as we're on this narrow surface street, Van Pelt Avenue, and we'll see where this street goes. We'll see
Wow.
if this driver knows the neighborhood going. It looks like going up into the hills. There's plenty of streets that do not go all the way through up here in the City Terrace area, and we'll just see where this one shoots this driver out.
Well, Desmond, we're going to turn the newscast now over to KCAL 9 News at 10 with Susie Sa and Jeff Vaughn, and they'll pick it up from here.
Pat and Juan, thank you so much. This is our top story tonight here on KCAL 9 News at 10 o'clock. That wild pursuit of a driver wanted for reckless driving,
gonna go into
doing
a dead end.
donuts at every intersection. Susie, he's been taunting police when this started in Glendale.
Yeah, even doing donuts around a police vehicle. Desmond Shaw live in Sky 9 with an update for us. Desmond, these streets are so narrow.
Yeah, they are, and I think the driver just turned into a dead end here. I think, let's see if this is going into a, no, maybe not. I thought, okay, it's still going here, this driver, and it started in Glendale, and this all started with this person actually doing donuts around a police officer. It just does not get more outrageous than that. And the pursuit was on briefly until this person was such a maniac that the authorities backed off. But that didn't stop this person from driving so crazy and doing circles all across these intersections. And it was really difficult to decide which law enforcement agency wanted to get involved in this. It seemed like nobody wanted it for a while. Now CHP is finally getting involved here, even though we are on surface streets. I thought this was a one-way street, but obviously it's not. And this driver, look at, you see him just purposely like kind of fishtailing, just kind of wagging back and forth, you know, kind of turning the wheel here, just really, really outrageous behavior, and it's amazing this person hasn't crashed yet, Jeff and Susie.
Yeah, and on the right-hand side is going to be earlier video of the recklessness of this driver, wanted for reckless driving. He was doing those donuts at every single intersection, all over the road, the wrong side of the road. Also kind of almost playing chicken with some of the oncoming traffic at times. Did you see that on the right-hand part of your screen? This driver exhibiting that reckless behavior. This all started in Glendale in pursuit of that vehicle doing donuts in the intersection of Western and San Fernando.
And talk about unusual and dangerous driving tonight. We usually see, vehicles driving at a high rate of speed to get away from CHP officers or authorities. But tonight, for the first time, we're seeing ground units since the Glendale area, as CHP East LA area has just engaged. And, this driver has been anything but not obvious. I mean, Desmond was talking about how it's a dark colored vehicle. It's a black Kia, so they can certainly get away from authorities, maybe hide under an overpass or something. But you know what? We haven't seen that. We've seen just the opposite, them throwing on their hazard lights, driving around in circles and doing donuts in random intersections, taunting officers, taunting other drivers with really, we have no idea where they're going with no real clear pattern of driving.
Almost wanting to attract attention because at almost every single intersection, that's when those hazard lights would come on. They'd start doing donuts, not necessarily the fast sideshow style that you see where it kicks up a bunch of smoke and whatnot and burning rubber, but just easy, sort of lazy donuts at almost every single intersection. Now you see that vehicle's lights flashing on and off. That's why we suspected it could be at some sort of sideshow vehicle. You see those sideshows from time to time that occur in the middle of these intersections. That's also some of the police lights as well. But we've noticed some strange lights. And then we go, Susie, here to those hazards of this Kia. We believe this is a Kia Stinger.
Yeah,
that,
going
is a pursuit vehicle.
On the wrong side of the road again. Desmond, any idea if this person is under the influence? Have we heard anything about that?
Well, no, you have to wonder, though, Susie, if this person is under the influence. It's just crazy how this even all started. This didn't start with just a traffic infraction or speeding or anything. I mean, really getting up and doing circles around a police officer. What could someone possibly be thinking in any state of mind? So it's certainly fair to wonder if that's the case. We haven't heard that the police say anything about a suspected DUI, but it's definitely fair to ask that question. Now, here's CHP, and the unit was asking their superior if they could do a pit maneuver, and they were denied. They said negative pit on that, even though it's got to be really difficult for these CHP officers because it seems like they've had the opportunity. But we are talking about a vehicle that's a little higher on the food chain as far as performance goes. There you see the red light tickets that you can tack on there in addition to...
Might have got a bad spot
there. Definitely.
Traded paint for sure. Did a little bit of damage there.
Yeah,
nonetheless, drove through. But this is, where are we that we're able to just continue driving around in circles, Daz?
This is, we're on First Street here. I believe that's the Gold Line. Right there that you see in the middle, and you saw those flashing lights from the red light cameras, which he's going to trigger again right there. So that'll be pretty costly, in addition to at least some jail time, and then could have hurt an innocent person there with clipping that vehicle. Fortunately, it was pretty minor as far as collisions go. There you see him waving out the window there again, just taunting the officers and getting onto some pretty narrow surface streets, but this is definitely one of the crazier ones that we've covered.
Yeah, you know, Desmond was talking about a possible pit maneuver that the CHP supervisor has actually said no to that. And probably you're wondering at home, why would they say no? I mean, they're so close to the vehicle. Looks like they could just do it right there even and get away with it. But, you know, what they're considering is all the different factors when they're doing a pit maneuver. They have to think about the speed of this other car, which has been, you know, excessive at some times. And also, is there space around this car to go through that car and make sure they're not hitting other cars? So lots of different factors happening, and never mind the fact that this person has been driving like a maniac and driving in very unpredictable patterns. So that certainly does not make it easier to do a pit maneuver.
It appears that this is the owner of the vehicle. This all came around 9 o'clock tonight, that intersection of Western and San Fernando and Glendale. We understand that this driver was doing donuts at that intersection so many times it caught the attention of neighbors who called 911. Then police arrived. Then this driver continued to do donuts as the police were there. And then that's what started this pursuit. And now it's getting even more dangerous as we are now on a highway. This is going to be the 101 southbound. And this is going to be higher speeds than what we've seen before. Let's go up to Sky 9 and Desmond Shaw with a look at the very latest on this pursuit. So, Des, he's driving away from you now.
Yeah, coming through the Eastdale interchange, and I think this is actually going to put us on the westbound 10. It's going to be kind of complicated to follow this just as we get around. Well, actually, okay, popping up right up in this area, but you see the different raised lanes and stuff. Yeah, we're on the westbound 10 now, so came out of the crazy Eastdale interchange. They were going to go to the northbound 101, and then you saw them cut back right at the last second and fly over the shoulder to get into lanes, and CHP still behind them. Hand out the window, waving at officers, hazard lights on and on. This vehicle has what they call a light kit equipped. So you saw some of those strange flashing lights right in the
like
front
that, yeah.
that the driver, can turn on and off. It looked like there might have been some kind of weird design to them, but they just kind of flash on and off pretty quickly. So we're coming through downtown, probably about 70 miles an hour right now, coming towards the 110 freeway. And you know, as far as pit maneuvers, it's just kind of hard to know how this driver would have reacted to getting pitted. And then, of course, they don't know if this person is armed or anything like that. They, hopefully have an idea of who this person is because the vehicle is not stolen. So if this is the registered owner, then, they should know exactly who this is and if this person has any kind of a criminal history or something. But, I mean, I'm kind of starting to wonder, too, is this person having, like, a nervous breakdown or something? Because this is just like the kind of activity or behavior of someone who just doesn't care about what's going on. But doing, circles around a police officer, waving at them, taunting them, even when it seemed like the police gave up and essentially, let this person go at least for the night, continued to drive like a lunatic.
Yeah, and keeping their hazards on and trying to get away from police like that's certainly not a good way to do it if they are trying to get away from police, obviously, as Desmond was talking about a dark colored vehicle. But when you have your hazards on like that, flashing on the freeway, very easily CHP can, find where you are, even if you are far away, if you're the only car with that. And oftentimes, Jeff, we were seeing them drive without their headlights on and with the hazards on instead.
Yeah, this makes me think that this is some sort of sideshow car because it's got some sort of, you see, the lights are always coming on and off. I can't imagine the driver is manipulating all those lights inside the cabin, but you see the lights come on and off. They change colors a little bit. And that kind of leads me to believe maybe he was doing his own solo sideshow at that intersection in the Glendale area that attracted all the attention. You see the lights now going kind of like purple to orange. And then the headlights will come on. This guy is really attracting attention to himself. Even when there was an opportunity, when they backed off, he could have maybe left. I'm sure they might have had his license tag information, stuff like that, but he could have just disappeared into the night and been free of this, but he seems to want the attention.
Yeah, it's true, Jeff. At one point, as we were talking about, after Glendale Police Department, they kind of relinquished the pursuit because it was getting out of their jurisdiction and onto the freeway, and the CHP was talking about getting engaged. I mean, this driver was going under overpasses that we thought they might stop and possibly just stop there to evade even, the helicopter, just to be not seen anymore, but they didn't.
And I wonder if we might be able to bring that inset box up. This is started about 9 o'clock, so it's well into more than an hour, but we did have that one opportunity to see a little bit of damage that was done as just a few minutes ago they drove. This is going to be some of the driving almost every single intersection, he was doing these donuts. That's what you're going to see there on your right-hand side. The only damage that we saw was to that one vehicle when he was doing, we're going to try to get that footage. When we get that, we'll show it to you. But he did hit a car with a driver in it and kept on going, Susie.
Yeah, and thank goodness it was so slow at that point. There was almost came to a complete stop, and then that car sort of almost got in the way, it seemed like, of that driver, and was trying to maneuver out of the way, and that's when he kind of clipped that driver and just kept on going, though. Desmond, where are we now?
We are coming through Mid-City LA, westbound 10, coming up to the Normandy exit, and still with the hand out the window, waving at the officers, almost like daring them to come and get them. And earlier when they got in that little scuffle with that PT Cruiser back there, not only was that a felony hit and run, and then he got several of the red light violations with the metro line right there as well. So there was all kinds of stuff going on there in the East LA area with the CHP in pursuit. And this person's covered a lot of ground. It started in Glendale, went northbound on the 5 briefly into Burbank, and then turned around and then flew down by Dodger Stadium and towards the Lincoln Heights area. And then that was essentially where we picked it up, and then was going through downtown, close to the Arts District and Japantown, and then east on the 10, and then we saw the crazy stuff in City Terrace before CHP finally decided to get involved, and now we're headed the opposite direction, westbound 10, and we're headed towards West LA. So really kind of circumnavigated a lot of the city tonight.
Well, it has now been 10 minutes since the top of the hour. We've been on this story from the very beginning. This is breaking news of a police pursuit. Driver wanted for reckless driving. You see that Kia Stinger, we believe, in the center part of your screen. We have an inset box we'll bring up here that will show some of the highlights of this pursuit, if you will. And that's where exactly hit that car right there. That silver vehicle decides to take a right-hand turn, if you will, in front of that vehicle, and then they clip and continues on, and that was about 10 or 15 minutes ago. But this all started about 9 o'clock in Glendale when this driver was doing donuts in the intersection and had did it so often that neighbors drew attention to that and then called police. Police arrived, and then that's when the pursuit began.
Back on the freeway.
Looks like we are on surface streets once again, but possibly getting back on the freeway, Desmond?
Yeah, maybe. Wanted to stop and make some kind of hand motions. It almost looked like maybe they were looking at us up here in Sky 9, or possibly Police 100. That had been the helicopter that was overhead. And you see the spotlight there from overhead, intentionally on the wrong side of the road, maybe knowing, really close again. Geez, that CHP will not go on the wrong side of the road to pursue. So they may have backed off a little bit at this point, and now got to wonder, is CHP going to back off of this one? Because this is just so dangerous here on surface streets when you start to see someone driving on the wrong side. And we are seeing a little bit more traffic in this area compared to what we were seeing earlier in City Terrace and Lincoln Heights, and even in downtown, kind of getting into the Crenshaw corridor, which you can see there's quite a few cars out tonight.
CHP is in pursuit, and Des, you had mentioned earlier that they were told not to do a pit maneuver. One, do you know why, and would they change their mind and possibly do this now that they're on side streets?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's always just kind of up to the officers' superiors here, and I think they're just always thinking about liability these days, because so many of these pursuits have ended so badly with innocent people getting injured, and a lot of times, regardless of who caused the crash, it's law enforcement that ends up absorbing a lot of the blame on that. So we have seen some of the agencies kind of dial it back with some of these pursuits. It's hard to say. It sure seemed like it was a really good opportunity to do a pit maneuver, but obviously CHP was thinking of something else, or thinking of some other possibilities.
Well, he's really started to go very fast now, Susie. I don't know what the deal was. He was going so slow moments ago, and then now he picked up the pace and went all through those different intersections. Thank goodness he didn't hit anybody, but almost now they goes weaving from side to side. It's odd how this driver, now he's in the opposite lane.
Again.
I don't know what's going on with this guy.
Desmond, you were talking about how CHP won't pursue on the wrong side of the road. Do you see the officers back there somewhere?
Well, I'm widening out, and we can see they're not here. Okay, there they are. There they are. Okay, well, so we were just talking about pit, and now we're hearing that perhaps they have approved a pit maneuver. So let's see if they do it. I mean, look at this guy. He's got practically. nearly ran into the cops right there at Crenshaw and Martin Luther King Jr. So supposedly they have the pit maneuver approved. We'll see if CHP is able to initiate it.
Well, CHP does a really good job. We've seen them over and over and over again perform pit maneuvers, and if they have that now enforced, that should be wrapped up pretty quickly here, Susie, although that driver was going to try again to do that donut in the middle of the intersection, very wide intersection there, but of course the CHP cruisers came in and he thought otherwise.
Yeah, this has got to be such a different, difficult decision for CHP to make, and now he's just stopped right there, and then again, just taunting officers. I mean, this has been this entire time waving at officers, waving at drivers, taunting officers, and as Desmond gets us this shot here, you know, it must be a difficult decision for the CHP to make when they do have to let go of pursuits. You know, although they actually have the information of the person because they have the license plate, they know where they live, they know who the car is registered to, but, you know, when they're driving like this, they're using this car as a possible weapon to hurt someone, to hurt the public.
I think there's some speed humps there that slowed the driver down. Now we might be able to see this pit maneuver. Here we go. Here we go. There goes part of the rear bumper is off.
So now we got the bumper dangling here as this driver continues to just kind of fishtail all over the place. No, I was thinking maybe, nope, not giving up. And might be.
We might have a unit on the other side, I bet you, because he's making a big circle here. Those speed humps will slow him down just a little bit.
And just makes you so nervous, though, when they go through these narrow streets, you know?
Yeah, you got parked cars, you got pedestrians, it's a residential area. This is very dangerous. Obviously, in that area, people have been speeding before. That's why they got those speed humps there. But this is breaking news here on KCAL Now. We're seeing this pursuit of a reckless driver. Look, he gets his arm out of the window, Susie, like he's egging them on and telling them to come up alongside of him almost.
Wow. I mean, 2 pit attempts so far, and once again, speeding up, Desmond.
Yeah, speeding up here as we're on 9th Avenue in the Leimert Park area, and you see CHP definitely showing that they want to end this now that they've had the pit approved, but now after seeing this, I'm sure the watch commander is watching our feed and probably determining if they want to continue to be aggressive in shutting this down. We are on some narrow streets, like you said, Susie. You've got parked cars on both sides, and so then they've got to think about property damage, and it's just so tough because the police have to play by so many rules, and we can see this person isn't playing by any rules, not even staying on the right side of the road half the time. It's almost like they don't even want to drive this vehicle straight, turning all over the place, doing circles, going on the wrong side, just going out of their way to drive as illegally as possible. We're on a little bit wider street here on Leimert Boulevard. We'll see if this provides CHP with an opportunity. You saw them coming along the side. They're wanting to do it. They're really wanting to do it here.
This could be it.
I think the Stinger might corner just a little bit better than the CHP Charger here. But circling back around now on Leimert, and we'll see if CHP is able to. This is going to be one of the most challenging pit maneuvers they've ever done. I can tell you that if they are able to do it. The officer is definitely going to get an A++ if they're able to successfully pull a pit off on this vehicle.
Yeah, there go the lights again on this car. And we're seeing the driver here as the pit has been approved by CHP. Let's take a look at the attempted pit that happened just moments ago. This is one out in the middle of that intersection on Martin Luther King. So there's one. I believe there's a second one here. Actually, there's going to be 3. That was another one that was pretty close to being pit. And then this one here where they actually took off the back bumper of this Kia Stinger before he takes off yet again to evade that pit, Susie. Yeah,
and even with that dangling bumper there, it doesn't seem like really changed the behavior of this driver. It doesn't look like they're driving any differently than they were before, doing the same taunting, doing the same flashing with the lights. And, obviously officers trying to chase him the best they can, but they also want to keep their distance, not to only miss him should he make any, sudden turns or moves or things like that, but also to give him that space because we don't know where he's going next or what he's going to do. This driver has been driving recklessly, as we have been talking about throughout this hour and also on KCAL 9 News at 9 when we first picked this up. I mean, they have been doing random maneuvers and intersection circles and donuts. And as we were talking about donuts around a Glendale police vehicle even, and flashing their lights, flashing their hazards. really not trying to evade police like the way we typically see, Jeff.
Yeah, this is one who's trying to attract attention, who's taunting the police, who actually has had his left arm out the driver's side window the entire time, egging on police, almost motioning them to come up alongside him, and then he takes off. This is over nothing more than just, at the time of the call, the 911 call to police, was reckless driving. This driver was doing donuts in the middle of the intersection of Western and San Fernando in Glendale. That's what attracted police and neighbors, and that's how this pursuit began. As we're taking a look here live, you see the lights on this Kia. We believe it's a Kia Stinger. Now he's stopping. Okay, Des.
Desmond, do you see any CHP officers on the ground anymore?
No, and Susie and Jeff, I can tell you that that officer who was probably trying to do that pit must be seething with anger right now because he was just ordered to cancel. And that was what I was thinking is, you know, the watch commander probably saw the two pit attempts and that, you know, this was in a crowded area on some narrow streets, and they made the judgment, I guess, that this is just too dangerous. And so they're being ordered to cancel. So you may have seen Police 100, who's been the law enforcement helicopter on this overhead the whole time. I believe they're still here, but it sounds like no one wants this anymore, and they supposedly do know who this person is.
Well,
this vehicle did not come back stolen, and this should be, in theory, the owner of the vehicle.
This might be a good strategy, Des, because this driver appears to be disappointed, and he's stopping. Maybe he is going to calm down.
Doing another donut in an intersection.
He wants attention.
Well, we'll see. I mean, he could definitely still see, you know, Police 100 is still down there at a pretty low altitude, and I can't tell if this vehicle has a
The air unit here yet, or just the... Is there a CHP air unit, or just Glendale?
attention from law enforcement, but it sounds like this is back to an air following, and it's probably not likely that anyone else is going to get involved. It took a lot of, it felt like a lot of arm twisting just to get CHP to come and take this, and they just expended a lot of effort on this and, you know, attempted that pit and nearly damaged their vehicle in the process, and now they've been ordered to cancel.
Well, if you're just joining us here on KCAL 9 News at 10, we have been following breaking news, getting really close to that car right there, too. Police now tracking a reckless driver. This is actually the second time that they've been doing this. This all began in Glendale with the Glendale Police Department at the intersection of San Fernando and Western, where they were doing donuts in that intersection, and they got the call of the reckless driver. And when they tried to get this person, they took off and did a donut around one of their vehicles and then got on the 5 freeway. They went northbound, then back down southbound into the Legion Park and East LA area after that, and that's where they've been doing these circles. They were doing these circles, and now we are. Looks like we're slowing down once again. But before that, the CHP did get involved after the Glendale Police Department relinquished the pursuit when it left their jurisdiction, and CHP took over on surface streets. And this is the pattern that we've been seeing on the right side of your screen. Just random driving like that, aimlessly driving around and doing circles for no reason. Sometimes people around, sometimes drivers getting very close, flashing their lights like that. Again, another circle that you see being done in an intersection on the right side of your screen. And now we're back live with this picture. Desmond, where are we? And anyone on the ground? There's no one now, right?
No one at the moment in the Hyde Park area of South Los Angeles, and fairly subdued at the moment. You have to think that the driver might be pretty tired after driving like this for an hour. It's been going on, I think, now for more than an hour total from when we first heard about this driver taunting the police and initiating the initial pursuit. But CHP now talking with LAPD, seeing if they're interested in this. Just LAPD didn't seem very interested in it earlier when they were contacted by Glendale when this was in the downtown LA area. So it's hard to imagine that they're going to be interested in taking this now. CHP is saying, well, if they get back on the freeway, we'll reassess. We'll think about it if they decide to get back on the 10 or the 5 or whatever.
I am kind of surprised because, I mean, they did do a hit and run. I mean, it wasn't an injury accident, but they did do some damage to a car earlier. This driver of this Kia Stingers, we're starting to, well, there's I think that was the gold line from earlier. That's where he actually hit the vehicle earlier. But there were 3 attempted pit maneuvers. We'll bring those up when we have a chance to. But those are the highlights of the pursuit you see there. Many times, this is going to be the first attempted pit, is that the driver was trying to do a donut in that intersection. That was at MLK. Then back over on Martin Luther King Jr. in Leimert Park. That's the second. And the third one was one that we thought was going to take. And then they took off the bumper of that Kia Stinger. Then that's when the driver took off. And then they pursued just shortly a little bit more, and then that was basically it, and they gave up. And as you mentioned, this is one of those pursuits that you can't find a department that wants. Susie, I don't know for what reason. Maybe it's just because this driver hasn't been quite that aggressive, but he's been taunting police over and over again, doing donuts in front of them, weaving in front of them. The driver with his driver's side window down, egging them on and asking them to come up alongside them, using his arm to gesture for them to come up. And now he's at least slowed down. So maybe that's what police want.
Sure, and just being so unpredictable. The behavior of this driver has been so erratic, and we have no idea what they're going to do next. Like right now, they're just pulling over, stopping for we don't know what reason. They obviously know probably that the chopper is still, choppers are still overhead, but they obviously see that the ground units have, disengaged. So, we have no idea, Desmond. There's no rhyme or reason to their behavior.
It's almost like this guy can't function unless he is being pursued. I mean, it's rare. It's like he has to have this attention. He's craving it. He's going through some sort of situation where he needs to have somebody watching him or pursuing him, because now Desmond is overhead in Sky 9. Des, he's stopping and starting and kind of driving. It's very erratic behavior.
Oh yeah, it's absolute insanity that we've been seeing. Stop there briefly in front of
now
the
he's
fire
on the train
hydrant. Now
tracks.
he's kind of stopping over the train tracks briefly. Yeah, it is almost. It really seems like this person is saying, "Come and get me." Come on.
His control and hits a curb, and that disables him. That would be probably the best case scenario for this.
We'll try to
to the right,
zigging and zagging all over the place. So as I suspected, LAPD said we don't want anything to do with this. This didn't start with us. We've never been engaged. It's just maybe in LA. LAPD said no thanks. CHP, if it gets back on the freeway, maybe they'll pursue. But here's the thing: this person has to know that they're capable of running the license plate. They know where this person lives, and apparently it comes back to somewhere in South LA, east of the 110. So, I mean, what is the end game here? Like, you're not getting away from this. Are you going to go stay at a friend's house or go flee to another state, or you just really don't care? Are you wanting to go to jail for some reason? Because that just seems like the inevitable ending of this, one way or another, just because they're not getting them right here, and it is extremely frustrating to see this happening. It doesn't mean that this person is, going to not going to be in handcuffs tomorrow morning or sometime this weekend or next week or whenever the authorities decide to make a move.
Just such odd and erratic behavior.
Bizarre, isn't it?
And thankfully, it's not at high speeds, and it's not so
Very fast there.
necessarily put people's.
I was worried that was going to be someone trying to get involved, but hopefully not. You see those onlookers on the top of your screen there, just trying to get
There. But it's just odd this individual continues to just drive around, actually seeming to want to taunt police. Now we're back here live. This is going to be video from earlier, but Susie just continues.
We do have law enforcement behind him. That's going to be a CHP unit now. And now this driver just kind of setting up a roadblock here. Now that he saw that law enforcement vehicle, he's picking up speed a little bit, flying through that intersection. Crenshaw and 54th, I believe that was. And we're continuing southbound, which is a bit of a concern because of the LAX airspace. We're not going to be able to follow this one too far south. Coming up on Crenshaw and Slauson, coming to a stop, now making a right, going westbound in the wrong way of traffic again. Other vehicles just trying to avoid this guy. Now we're going west Slauson, just bouncing between the right side of the road and the wrong side of the road. Now slowing down again. And now a complete stop. I'm going to widen out the shot. There you go. You see that one CHP unit behind this. I'm going to try and get this back up on one of the frequencies here and see where CHP is working this. Excuse me there. Okay, it does appear that CHP is re-engaging. We do still have that Glendale Air unit overhead on this pursuit. And CHP kind of laying back a little bit, but still keeping an eye on this guy. Now blacked out, just has those parking lights on. On the brakes, swerving to the right. Making a U-turn, it appears. And now we're going back east. Eastbound Slauson here about 70 miles an hour, now slowing down. Approaching this intersection, this is going to be Alviso. Now at a complete stop. And continuing on. You can see that CHP unit still not really trying to get too close and partake in the games that this suspect is trying to play with law enforcement, but just staying close enough so that they can keep an eye on this guy and see what he's up to. They do have the driver's address, and they do have officers waiting at this driver's home when he does decide to end this madness and either go home or give up. How long have we been up, Jim? Okay. We're past the hour mark on this pursuit now. Started a little after 9 o'clock in the Glendale area. We've been on freeways, we've been on surface streets, now in the View Park area. And you can see, wow, look at that crowd just gathering on Slauson Avenue. I'm not sure how this is going to affect the psyche of this driver that already seems to be a bit disturbed. Continuing down Hillcrest, it looks like. But I don't think those crowds that are forming are going to be a good thing for this this pursuit driver. The good thing is you can see CHP is still engaged, still keeping this driver within view. Looks like we're about to turn westbound on Slauson. And that bumper there does not want to let go. Slauson and West Boulevard here, continuing southbound on West Boulevard. Very close contact with a couple of cars there. This driver seems to want to taunt oncoming traffic, but thankfully to this point, the driver is able to avoid the oncoming traffic before it becomes too late. Now eastbound on 60th Street here. Are we at our southbound limit, Jim? Copy. The concern that we have now is LAX airspace. That's what we're getting pretty close to. And then we won't be able to stay directly overhead on this one. Another wide intersection there. Kind of surprised that they didn't decide to do donuts in that one. And the hazard light's still on. I'm gonna try and get a close look of the suspect here. Appears to be on the phone, possibly texting. Slowing down a little bit, 25 miles an hour as we approach this intersection. That's going to be Slauson and Crenshaw. And picking up the speed a little bit here as we go eastbound on Crenshaw. Oh, now picking up the speed a lot, flying through intersections, flashing those headlights again. Some additional information we're getting here from CHP, and it kind of adds a different element to this pursuit. CHP does have the family of this driver on the line. They're going to try and get the family to convince this person to pull over. There does appear to be a mental health component involved in this. At least that's what we're hearing from what the family is telling CHP. Now coming to a stop in the middle of this intersection here. You can see donuts definitely performed before in this intersection. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jack, one more time. 1 hour, Jim, or Jack, 1 hour. Going the wrong way again here. In the emergency median there. Picking up speed, continuing eastbound on Slauson. We are having to hold a little bit of a distant shot here because that is right on the edge of the LAX airspace. Coming up to, it looks like Vermont. This might be 56th Street, actually. It looks like this is going to be 58th Street and Hoover. Driver flashing his headlights repeatedly as he continues onward. And now the hazard light's back on. Whoa, some oncoming traffic there. Going under the 110, continuing out the east side of the 110. Now, what CHP is talking about now is that this appears to be in the vicinity of the suspect's home. We can only hope that this driver is going to go home and kind of put an end to this. Flying through another intersection there. It looks like we're going to be northbound Maine. Now continuing eastbound on 54th. Wrong way again here. Luckily no oncoming traffic there. Box truck in the way. CHP does still have eyes on this, but they're trying to work with some of the information they have about the driver's home address. And they're trying to work with that information to place units at the driver's home. Continuing eastbound now. We lost him behind the one of the buildings here.
Thought that he may have clipped a cruiser at the Glendale PD when he was doing donuts around them about an hour ago, but that wasn't the case, right, Gil?
Yeah, that was a very close call there during that.
Now coming northbound on Avalon. Another eastbound turn, 52nd place. A really narrow street there. Coming up on some traffic there. Hey, Booth.
Talk to him because the phone is going to voicemail. So he doesn't want to talk to anybody. I mean, this could be one of those situations where he's decided what he's going to do, and that's going to be get into an altercation with a police officer, whether it's a police pursuit, but this at some point in time has to end, and you wonder how that is going to end.
Yeah, Desmond Shaw, live in Sky 9. What can you tell us now?
Well, we're on 52nd Street and 52nd Place near Avalon, and we believe that that the driver is very close to home. They live somewhere in this area. Now, we saw him stop there and then just continue. Unfortunately, on top of all this, we're also dealing with LAX's airspace. This person is just...
One shot here that is going to be just inside the LAX airspace, and now CHP taking this driver down, or at least securing this driver and figuring out what is going on. We were hearing that CHP was in contact with the driver's family, and we're now in front of this driver's home, his registered address. The family was indicating that there may be a mental health component involved here. So CHP will have to handle that effectively as well. Jim Pollard, our pilot up here, News Chopper 4, navigating the LAX airspace to try and get us the best view that we can of the end of this hour-plus long pursuit that is now ended in the South LA area from Glendale. Just completely erratic behavior, erratic driving, number of close calls, a number of vehicles sideswiped. Now coming to a stop here near 53rd Street in McKinley in the South LA area. You can see here CHP units moving in on the ground to confirm. CHP now confirming a code 4 of this situation. They do have the suspect in custody.
Cops is filmed on location with the men and women of law enforcement. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when
Hey Booth, so you said you still want to do a hit of about this? Yeah, South LA.